Hi, welcome to the KaiNexus Continuous Improvement Podcast. I'm Mark Graban. We are joined today by Andrea Beidl. She is a relatively new member of the KaiNexus team, a new KaiNexian, as we say. She is joining us as the Manager of Customer Enablement, and she's joining us here on the podcast. Andrea, thanks for being here, and thanks for being at KaiNexus. How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to express my enthusiasm and excitement for KaiNexus. I think it's an amazing adventure for me to start this journey.
Yeah. Before we learn about why you joined KaiNexus, if you would, Andrea, give us a little bit more of the background about yourself and your career.
So my career started, I don't want to say many moons ago, but it started a bit ago.
Mhm.
And in the last 10 years, I've really been focused on learning and development and the process of how to get partners and customers educated in SaaS and process improvement, not just to do the job and go home, but to do the job, enjoy the job, understand why it is they're doing what they're doing, and learning what they're learning, and then be an advocate for the software that they are using day in, day out.
Yeah. Yeah. And so bringing that background and experience into a new adventure here at KaiNexus, I'd love to hear your story of, as we've talked to a lot of KaiNexians on the podcast. Why did you join KaiNexus? If you want to talk about the process or what was appealing or any of that.
The process was amazing. I really had an amazing journey from the moment that I looked at the job description on, and I'll be transparent. I found it on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And I will be honest with you, I looked at it and I passed it and I went about 5 minutes later, I was like, let me go back to that one. Let me just read it again.
Uh-huh.
And I did. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm checking all the boxes here. This is what I'm looking for. And so I applied. I put in my resume, made sure that all the spelling was right and, everything was good. And about 35 minutes later, I got a phone call. And I was like, this has got to be it. This has got to be the one. And I stopped looking. I honestly stopped sending my resume out because I knew this was the place I wanted to be at. So through my conversations with Greg Jacobson and with Jeff, I found that this was going to be my home. And I was so excited about finding my next 2.0. I was just thrilled. And so not one day has gone by since I started that I've been disappointed in my decision to come to KaiNexus.
Well, good. I'm glad we're not talking about this on one of my other podcasts, My Favorite Mistake.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Sorry for the gratuitous shout out to.
No, that's wonderful. I love it. Anything I can do to help you sell your books, I love it.
Well, so Andrea, I'm curious if how vividly you remember. Okay, you had scrolled past. Then what? I mean, do you remember what was it that sort of gave you that second thought to go back and take another look?
It was about the job description really put a lot of emphasis on what customers are doing and where the company wants to go with training and curriculum design and development. And I was like, oh, I like that. That's the stuff that I never wanted to leave in my last job. And I told my manager if she ever pulled me off training and development, that I would be like, no, wrong. This is
Mhm.
the wrong place for me. I really want to stay here. So I really felt like the job description just married my background.
Mhm.
It was a sheer just conjoining of the two entities, me and KaiNexus.
Mhm. So I'm glad you had that second thought in a good way.
Thank you.
You
Thank you.
kicked off that process. So now that you've been on board, and would you say you finished onboarding, or is that still, are you still
So,
going?
so
I'd
I
love to
will
hear
be
about.
doing Yeah, I've got three more specific cards to go through. One being sales, which I am not a salesperson.
Mhm.
I cannot sell Girl Scout cookies. And I told the sales team this. So help me be kind to me as we go through this last iteration. But I'm currently writing a blog on how best to help champions take content that may or may not be dry and, for lack of a better word, amazing, and present it to their teams. How best can we do that? So I'm in the process. I'm almost done. To answer your question,
Yeah.
give me a week.
Okay. But it sounds like in that onboarding process, there's an opportunity to try to learn about all the different parts of the company, the different functions and what they do.
Yeah, I am immersion. That you talk about. Well, I talk about total immersion all the time, and that's the best way to learn. A lot of times, when you're a child and you're learning something, your learning process is a lot different when you're an adult. So sometimes you just have to trial by fire, and I'll be honest with you, that's how I learned to create my own board. I had a little bit of training, and then I was like, well, that didn't stick. I just came out of training. Now I'm going to have to go in, and I started dibble and dabbling through what I knew, and started just poking and clicking. And I knew I wouldn't break the system. I knew I couldn't. So I thought, well, why not try it? Why not do this? Okay, that worked. That didn't work. Okay, try again. And that's really how a lot of adult learning happens.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're bringing your experience and passion to the team here at KaiNexus. Andrea Beidl is our new Manager of Customer Enablement. You're part of the team in Austin, correct?
Yes, yes.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. When I interviewed Josh Feldman, who's also new to the team,
Yeah.
I put him on the spot about Chicago pizza. I'm gonna ask you a little bit different question. No wrong answers here. About Austin, Texas. What would you say is the best thing about Austin, and what's the worst thing?
So I do drive 65 miles to get to Austin.
Oh,
I live in San Antonio. So
that's right.
I would have to say that the best thing about, can I change it to San Antonio?
Yes, my mistake. I knew you were in San Antonio and I had a brain cramp here. So best thing and worst thing about living in San Antonio, please.
The best thing about San Antonio is probably the total transformation of food. It's becoming less about tacos and more about gourmet and a lot of the different diverse cultures within San Antonio.
Yeah.
No disrespect to tacos. I will always go to Torchy's. I love Torchy's. I know it's some people don't know what that is, but some people don't like it. I adore it.
It's kind of an Austin thing, right?
Yeah. Thankfully it's about a half a mile from my house. So I can, if I'm craving queso, I can go and get it in the almost middle of the night. The worst thing I gotta say is 160435. I'm sorry, Texas Department of Transportation, but it's going to be going on for the next 10 years. 1604 has been being built for the last 100 years, and I don't think it's ever going to stop being built. But road construction near my house, that's the worst.
Yeah.
The worst part of the city. So every city has it. I lived through the big dig in Boston, so I know that it will end. But for me right now, my patience is about non-existent.
Yeah.
I think process improvement has to happen with Texas Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
We
could only hope. And boy, that drive up to Austin, depending on the day, could take a lot more than 65 minutes. So I'm glad we have pretty good remote and hybrid setups, and I hope you're not making that commute every day.
No, I'm limiting myself. Well, I will say that I will come up as I need, but I think once a week is enough for any one sane person to drive through.
To keep you sane.
To keep you sane.
Well, Andrea, thanks again. Andrea Beidl, Manager of Customer Enablement here at KaiNexus. Thanks for doing the podcast.
Thank you so much, Mark.